Hello there, Bick Benedict here. We're playing Gears 5, Hivebusters, and this is my Inconceivable difficulty guide and walkthrough. We're currently on Chapter 6 of 6. It is entitled The Path. So this is about a 25-minute chapter, and it does conclude in the boss fight that I think I was talking about at the end of the last video. But if you also remember, there's a torque bow over here, so what you had at the end of chapter 5 is not what you're going to have at the beginning of this chapter. So I would definitely switch to the torque bow. And there are more opportunities to get the torque, so you don't need to worry about that. What I would recommend, though, since this boss fight, I don't like to just say stuff is garbage and it's trash and have a negative attitude, but it's just not a good fight at all. It's just messy, and it's just not good. It's in keeping with the tradition of shitty boss fights in this whole franchise. And what I would recommend, since you can die so arbitrarily almost, is to have the strongest weapons you can to minimize how long you're actually in the fight with this goddamn enemy. Sorry, but it's just a shitty fight from top to bottom. It's just really, really bad. And it's difficult too because it's so bad. And it's not really about the checkpoints. You get one checkpoint and it's a good checkpoint. But I do want to mention these upgrades. So 3 upgrades left, and this is going to be a Lahni upgrade. This is a good one for her, actually. She's stimmed when she uses her blades, so when she's attacking people, she's invulnerable. If I remember what stim is and what it does in the previous game. I don't know if it has a duration. But I'm gonna recommend just what I have now for the boss fight. If you want to have anything else, you can. I did, when I was on Insane, I tried to bring like one of the rocket launchers, the salvo. I tried to bring a rocket launcher to the fight. I made it to the fight carrying that, but they take it away from you. So if you're trying to bring a heavy weapon to the fight, it's not going to work. They'll take it away from you, which is understandable. Here's a bolt hawk, and then here's the second upgrade right here. I believe this is a Mac upgrade. What do we have for Mac? Kills extend barrier duration. That's good. That's all well and good. I mean, not to not have the upgrades, it's really not going to change the boss fight itself. It will change the fights on the chapter. This chapter is just gorgeous. It truly is. And there are some pretty challenging fights. But I, once again, would recommend having something, I just don't see the point of having a regular Lancer when you can have this Lancer and have pretty much an infinite amount of grenades, because you can use his ability to regenerate them, and it's great. Now I will be going to the boss fight with incendiaries, hoping to deal some good damage to this thing. It is possible to grenade tag the boss, and you'll see me try to on this fight that I have for you, but it didn't work out. He didn't make contact with it. But it's really dangerous to do it. It's like a 50-50 chance you'll live, or even worse for you. So the fights are good on this chapter. And I know I've been perhaps overusing this weapon on this game, but it's just my preferred setup. I've been trying to use other weapons and trying to be varied, but I know all about this boss fight, and I don't want to be screwing around with with what I perceive as to be inferior weapons. So there's also a canoe ride near the end, and it's pretty difficult too. And unfair is probably a good word for it too, because they do have enemies attacking you from multiple sides, but I suppose it is your responsibility to be vigilant about killing enemies. But over here we just have a lot of these poppers. There's a ton of poppers. At least the boss doesn't have lackeys. I'll give them that. That would have been horrendous. But this boss fight, it's going to be spitting poison at you. And it's going to be going underground and then coming up. And it seems like it just loves to come up right where you're standing. So I would not recommend just standing in place on this boss fight. You want to be moving around when it's going to come up to make sure that it doesn't have any locking on of your position, so it can just come right on top up under you and hit you while it's doing it. But we've got to get rid of this slow running. It's really bad. But this fight up ahead is pretty. If this is what I think it is, this is a really good fight. The second checkpoint can be a little nightmarish, but if you have good weapons, it shouldn't be that bad. But you're going to slide on into this area, and there's going to be some hunters over here from whom you can get torques if you missed out on the torque at the beginning. And there's also going to be, them throwing smoke grenades at you. And when you get the checkpoint, you're going to be seeing you're going to see the doors open at the far side. So I've tried to stay on this side of the map so that when I get the checkpoint, I can really show you exactly where the Scion is coming from, so that when I get the checkpoint in the editing process, I don't have to put myself in another position and waste time getting there, when I'm trying to demonstrate something. But you'll have this Scion, I'm not sure what he has, a Mulcher maybe, and 2 Pouncers. And this is a really small environment, so it's quite difficult. So what I would recommend is to decimate them. Just don't give up. Don't let up. Here, it should be like right over here. Do you see the wooden doors? The wooden door atop those stairs? They're going to come through. But if you can get right on top of them, it shouldn't be that much of a problem. This fight's going to be over in like 5 or 10 seconds. So, anyway, so I think we've got one hunter here left, and then it's gonna. I mean, I'm glad they give you a checkpoint. That's fair. Okay, let's just. I wanted to show folk. Oh, there's a couple of enemies left. But this has the potential to be a really bad situation if you're caught unawares of what's actually going on over here. Okay, come on. Kind of frustrating when there's just one enemy left, and it's one of those enemies that has the ability to disappear. Anyway, but yeah, this could be really bad, really bad. But it has a nice checkpoint though, so that's a good thing. There you go. Okay, checkpoint. This thing must be crawling around somewhere. Yeah. All right. I just wanted to show people. Okay, the door opens, it closes, and then you've got. Looks like he's got a Mulcher. But using these grenades is really helpful. Look at that. They didn't even have a chance to come over here. I think the fight's over. There we go. Lahni did some good work there at the end for us. But I did find Mac to be pretty pointless in this entire campaign. he doesn't. It's not like I'm getting protection from his barrier. You know, he's pretty much a useless appendage, whereas Lahni is so much more helpful because she's actually damaging enemies. I know Mac damages enemies eventually with his barrier somehow. I still don't know how that works. I guess if the enemies touch the barrier, they get damaged. I have no idea. But I've seen a lot of people, having a lot of enjoyment playing the other characters. But I did want to point out over here, this is the final upgrade. And it's going to be a Keegan upgrade, and I don't think it's half bad. Let's take a look at this. What is this? Is this a duration one? Yeah, this is a decent one. Resupply duration increased. So that's good. Coupled with the huddle up, if you get near your teammates, you can get some good results there, especially for the Lancer GL to possibly get 2 to 3 in one go. And then over here, there's a fork in the road, so to speak. You can go left or right. Either way, it's pretty much you're going to run into the same sort of enemies, poppers, juvies, and then each path will have an elite grenadier. And you can help your teammates over here. It's not vital, but I don't think there's a drastic difference in the path. But look at this. It's a very creative environment, and you never saw anything like this in the main campaign. I noticed he threw a grenade a moment ago, and I think he got damaged from it. That actually helped out. If you want to help Lahni with her grenadier, you can. So, I also wanted to mention, just in case people were curious about what settings I have, I have it on like a hybrid of like medium / high, and I have some of the more important features that I deem important on ultra, like the I think it's called, is it field of, it's not field of view, but it's the distance you can see in that I have that on ultra, so I could see as far as possible. Depth of field possibly is what it is. This is such a creative fight too, but I'm gonna come up here, and if you do this quick enough, you can get a stealth kill on one of them, which reduces the amount of hassle you have to deal with. There's a lot of DR1s over here. There's a lot of people shooting, very deadly ammunition and stuff for you. But if you see them in clusters like that, definitely use the Lancer GL. It looks like somebody's using. I can never remember the name of that weapon. It is the weapon in the first video that it said is the strongest weapon. But this guy's using a rocket launcher, and then the other one had whatever that weapon is. I keep forgetting it. I'm gonna pick it up right now, though. I think. What's it called? The Tri-Shot. Why can I never remember that? But once you advance up here, there's going to be some poppers to deal with. And this is a 2-segment fight, so I really wish that there was a long shot around here somewhere. Because I think I remember having a long shot over here at some point, but I could be mistaken about that. I don't want to... but definitely, search around, because a long shot would be helpful over here. Some of these fights, it's like you advance up and the game is just trying to catch you with your pants down, and that's pretty bad. But fortunately, this weapon is so powerful, we can stave off this main attack. I just really like the fights and the environments in this DLC. They did a really good job. And my hopes for Gears of War 6 is that It's completely linear. None of this open world nonsense, riding a skiff around. Having the ability to aim over your left shoulder, maybe that would be one. But my primary wish would be complete linearity. And I don't know. I don't know. I didn't like the characters. I never empathized with them at all. They're just strangers. Strangers that I don't care about. They're just really annoying too. I don't want to give anybody's hopes out, but I am attempting to cover The Last of Us 2 on Grounded. I've got like 5 videos, but it's such a long game. I don't know if I'm going to stick it out. And I'm trying. Here's what I'm trying to bring it to the channel. It's a good game, despite what a lot of people say about the story. Yeah, the story is pretty terrible, but the combat and the mechanics are good. They're really good. They're fun too. And so I am trying to bring that to you on Grounded, but that's probably at least 3 months off. Okay, so we have a checkpoint. I am going to pick up an M-bar. I'm trying to use a few new weapons. What I don't want to do, though, I always get worried that I'm going to lose my weapons by having a checkpoint or something. And then we've got a couple of downed teammates, but fortunately that's not going to have a problem. There was a couple of occasions when my teammates died on this chapter. Once was in the canoe. The canoe ride is awful. It really is. It's awkward. And it's unfair, and it's just it's too long. It's way too long, and there's too many opportunities where you can instantly die, and then you have to go back to a section right before a small little cutscene. So they really need to stop that. Gee, why does it take them so long to expire like that? It's just ridiculous. Okay, here's a try shot with a good amount of ammunition. And this is actually the first occasion we're seeing... You know, it would be nice if I had the barrier too. Why can't I have the barrier? But this is the first time we're seeing the... you know, I forgot the name of this enemy. They say it when they fight it, but... It is an enemy that premiered in Gears of War 4. Why did they take the "of" out of the title in Gears 5? I mean, strange how they do these little weird things. But anyway, that is a pretty long fight, and it's over now. And then we're going to be sliding on down into a section where there's some infighting between the Swarm and the DBs. And then after that, it's going to be the canoe ride, or the boat ride. And then the boss. So I'm just, you know, if people want some recommendations, if you want the boom shot, that's fine. The boom shots, there's a boom shot on the stage. But when you're fighting this boss, like, you don't want any amount of your time spent scrambling to find weapons and stuff. You want to be fully prepared, because this boss is just utter garbage, and it's going to be spitting acid, and it's an atrocity. It really is. And they want you to be hitting certain areas on the boss near the end, like there's some sacks that you need to shoot, but the torque has so much splash that you really don't need to be worrying about hitting it in a certain spot. couple of claws over here too if you want that, but the thing I don't like about the claw is that it just takes way too long to reload. It's not fun. It's just not fun. And the checkpoint for the boat ride is really bad, as I mentioned before, because you're going to be fighting a swarm, a couple of flocks, and some DBs and shockers or poppers. Sorry. And I went through the boat ride and I never interacted with the flock on my insane run, but on this run I engaged it. I'm not sure why. I just thought I wanted to get rid of it, possibly, and I did. But it's your choice, and make sure that you have everything you want for the boss fight coming up. Frags or flames. I don't think it matters that much, but I do think flame damage is going to get you a little bit more results for your money on this thing. And okay, so here's the bow. This is what I was talking about. There's some juvies and poppers at first, and they're going to be coming into the boat. Some of them I don't think you can even hit until they're in the boat, like those ones that were high up in those trees. I don't even think I was able to hit them. But you can use Lahni early on, or you can use her when anything gets particularly hairy, like when drones start coming into the boat. The bad thing about the drones too is that they'll come into the boat, and simultaneously you'll have drones on either side of the canoe too, and or boat, and there's hardly anywhere that you can put yourself that is safe, because you're really exposed in this boat, and there's just not much choice of cover. So you have to be really preemptive with what you're doing over here, and you've got to know where folks are. I did put on the overkill because it's quite handy over here, but in a moment you are going to be needing to get on these drones really fast. So they are to the left and to the right, unfortunately, and they come in. So this is probably where I would use your teammates. Just start using them. And it can get, see, if you don't know where these enemies are, you can fall into a really bad spot. So you need to learn the positions of these enemies, because they're fixed. So if you know where they are, you're not going to be surprised on successive attempts. But like this guy, he's got to go, because there's no... See, and I'm completely vulnerable. It's really bad. But fortunately, they're pretty far away from you, so they're not going to deal you a tremendous amount of damage. But you might have noticed that I did not mess around there. I used the torque to get them out of here fast as possible. And it's just too slow of a ride, in my opinion, because if any of these leeches, decide to grab you or whatever, you're instantly dead, and then you've got to start the whole thing over again. So it's pretty ridiculous. But I chose the overkill over here because it's a good weapon to kill the flock quickly. And notice I got a gun jam out of panic. But this flock is expiring. But there's like another one that comes too, so engage it or just avoid it. I don't really know what would be better. But I have avoided it before. But I really... It's just a messy situation either way. I think that shooting it and getting rid of it is probably for the better. But like, why is there even more over here? Don't worry, you will have a chance to fully restock all of your ammunition. And what I would recommend is just having everything obviously refilled, and have either the Lancer. See, the first checkpoint on the boss is fairly short. You just need to put a little bit of damage on it. The second checkpoint is where you need to deplete the rest of its damage. You don't have to fully take off all of its, like when you see its health bar, like a quarter will be, like a quarter inch will be left where it's just going to die at that point. So there's a little leeway there, but this boss fight really demands you to just get it done fast and not mess around. So that's why I'm going to be using the Torque and the Lancer GL. So as you can see, there's plenty of time over here to regen all of your stuff. And for this first checkpoint, like I said, we're just going to wail on it with the Torque bow. So the fight's going to start right over here. Here it is. And that is what it does. It comes up from the ground and it spits. And even if you're behind cover, you can still get hit by it. And it's just a mess. So you're going to see a very quick killing of this first part, because I don't have any patience for this type of nonsense. This part's almost over, but I wanted to talk about the second phase of this checkpoint. So once you do get a checkpoint, unfortunately you have to kind of watch this every single time, which is not that bad, but it's going to alternate between being in the air and going down and then being on the ground. So what you want to do is you want to punish it as much as you possibly can when it's in the air, because it is it's more vulnerable. It doesn't have as deadly attacks. It has these little pods of acid that it spits, but you want to focus on hitting it right in the head. It does not have these sack sets that your teammates are going to point out. It's going to drop and then it's going to come up, but like I said before, you don't want to stand in one place, because it has this lovely tendency of coming up right where you are and damaging you and killing you outright. So I tossed a flame over there to see if we can get some damage. I got a panic gun jam, of course, and then we're going to be running around. Just always put some cover, in front of you, but you don't necessarily have to go into cover. You can just make sure something is in front of you. But the more that you punish it when it's in the air, the more opportunities you'll have where it's stagnant and it's not going to be attacking you, and where it's going to drop. Okay, those are the sacks right there. It's very difficult to hit them when it's moving around so much, so I would just recommend having a weapon that has a lot of splash to it, like the Torque. But don't underestimate the grenade launcher. It's very powerful. So you need to be very very mobile on this fight. You don't want to stand in one place. If acid is beneath you and it's accruing, you definitely need to move. But this nonsense of it spitting stuff all over the place, it's since this is on Inconceivable, you're getting damaged the most, and it's really bad. It just doesn't have any grace to it, which is unfortunate. There's a boom shot right there if you want it. I have grenade tagged it a couple times, like I've said before. Not on this take, but it is possible to grenade tag it. You'll deal it a lot of damage. If you wanted to come here with 4 frag grenades, that could help, I guess. But it's mainly using the explosive weapons that you have, and putting as much cover as you possibly can in between you and it, and always running when it's going to come up. And you will eventually take it down. It's not impossible. It took me like 20 minutes. I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't enjoy it on Insane either, but it's almost dead. And like I said, you don't have to take all of its health down. But if you complete it, go good job, because it's really not made very well. It looks good, but it's just not good. But you be the judge of it. So I normally don't do this, but in case people are worried, I wanted to go through each chapter and just show you that I did complete them on Inconceivable, because there's no achievement that comes up. So that insignia right there where it says solo is the Inconceivable insignia. So I just wanted to, just in case folks were worried, that's what it was. And that's it. That has been Hivebusters, Gears 5 Hivebusters DLC. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that I'm really hoping that it's going to help you, but it's not exactly the hardest of campaigns. But on Inconceivable, things could crop up that you might find difficult, and that boss is just not made very well either, so shame on it. Anyway, for Big Benedict Productions, I wanted to thank you for watching and participating if you did, and even if you didn't, thank you too. And I will see you in my next project. Please take care until then, and I will see you then. Take care.